for joining me today. And here we are starting our Raksha Bandhan Hamper workshop. And some of you all know me. I think most of you all know me. I'm Dhan Pandey, for those of you who don't know me. And I've come from my Instagram channel, some from YouTube. And I'm really pleased to have you all here today and join me for these recipes. I'm super excited. And we'll get going. We'll start off with a recipe. So today we'll be doing 6 recipes. And in addition, we're also doing a bonus recipe called the cashew clusters. And that's one of my favorite, the crunch. And so today, first we will start off with one of my favorite, the most nostalgic one. That is, of course, the nankatai. Nankatai, as we know, it's a very dense and heavy, loaded with ghee and sugar, and of course, rava. And it's just a very nostalgic feeling when you bite into it. And that's something I have given a little twist and made it a little lighter in texture. So I'm sure you're going to love it. Give it a try once you finish this workshop and just let me know. Okay, so we're going to get started. And the first things, of course, getting all our ingredients, we have it here. Now, I have already kept the ingredients ready, measured and ready. I can't be showing you as and when we'll be taking the ingredients. Of course, the weighing scale is the best way to identify the right proportion of your ingredients, right? Always make sure. I know cups and grams are given, so prefer grams, always. I prefer that. Now, starting with the dry ingredients, we will be taking, let's see. At any point you need me to repeat anything, please just put it in the chat box and we'll do that, okay? All right, so taking our all-purpose flour, then we have the basin. Now today the weather is not in our favor. As you can see, it's got cloudy. Oh, and some of y'all may not know me that I'm from Mumbai, and it got cloudy weather today. So, anyways, so that's the custard powder. Now, the custard powder is what actually gives it the light and airy texture. That's the reason we're giving this. It gives you a nice flavor of that custard feeling in your nankatai, right? And of course, every nankatai needs rava. So this is a super fine rava. Okay? We don't want the coarse granulated one. We want an extra fine texture. So keep that in mind. Now to this, we will also be adding baking powder and baking soda, which is a 1/4 teaspoon. Now, when you take the baking powder and baking soda, always make sure you level it up, right? So baking powder and baking soda, it gives an added light texture to it. Now, if you're looking to use it to make it with wheat flour, there is an option. But we need to make sure that the consistency remains light and airy texture. Now, wheat flour being whole wheat flour has much more fiber in it. We need to add not the same quantity as the all-purpose flour. It needs to be a little less. Now, what's a little less? I'll get to it. So when you have 1 cup of flour, that is all-purpose flour, for example, you will need 3/4 of a portion of the wheat flour, right? That's always a ratio. When you take 1 portion of maida, it's always 3/4 of it. All right, setting that aside. So that's your dry ingredient. Now we're going to take the wet ingredients. So that's the clarified ghee. I've taken Govardhan ghee and it's a bit runny. Don't worry about it. Take it as thick as possible. Don't take the extra runny one. If it's like that, then just pop it in the fridge for a few seconds or a few minutes rather, and then you can work with it. Okay, so that's your ghee. This wet mixture, we will also be adding the sugar. Now, when we say wet mixture and sugar, oh, we need to add the cardamom flavor, of course, every now and then needs that. All right, so when we say wet mixture, as I was saying, we need to understand that sugar is a wet ingredient. Right? Why? Because it does melt. When you say flour, it does not melt. Right? So that's the difference between the two. That's why we call it as a wet mixture. All right, there's going to be a little noise. So if you want to mute my sound, you can just go ahead. Give it a little stir. Now remember, this is the most important part, is getting your butter and sugar light and fluffy, because that's what is going to create that texture of light and airy nankatai. Right? Just kind of give it another whisk. Remember not to try and speed up this process. It's a little time consuming, but the end result is totally worth it. So please don't try to rush this process. You must make sure that it is well incorporated, light and fluffy. Right? How it is. All right, time to add our milk. Now, that's a regular milk you will need to add. And Roshni did mention that you all were asking in the chat whether it's the custard powder that's vanilla flavor. Yes, it is the vanilla flavored custard because obviously, I mean, we are taking this nankatai, the flavor is going to be a different flavor altogether. It's not the regular, just plain nankatai with ghee, sugar, and rava and melon. So that's how I work with it. And yes, I have our milk. All right, so the next is what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 tablespoons of milk. In the other. Now it's. Do you want the water? Oh, no, that's fine. So we have here a tablespoon, a big tablespoon. Tablespoon. Half. Half. All right. Okay, so we have some milk and I'm going to add a little at a time. Okay, that's half. That's 1 tablespoon. I have written 1 to 2, but go by the consistency as and when. Don't try to add everything together. All right, we're going to add the cardamom powder. Now this cardamom powder we're going to be adding in the wet mixture. Okay. So that's a quarter. And that's another quarter. So I've added half a teaspoon. Right, so we have our wet mixture ready. Now we are simply going to add in all the dry ingredients and form it into a dough. this point, I'd like to mention if you all like any kind of nuts in your nankatai, of course, you can do that as well. And you can add maybe pistachios because I think it really goes well with the cardamom. So you can try it like that. Now I've added only 1 tablespoon of the milk. So remember, this is only going by the eye. How you like your dough to be is it has to be enough moisture to absorb within the dry. So I'm going to use my hands of course. And I'll show you the texture. So it's not easily forming a dough. If you see this, it is forming the dough, but yet I find it a little bit dry. So I'm going to go ahead and add another half a teaspoon, half a tablespoon. Also need to going to go ahead and add the other half teaspoon. So a total of 2 tablespoons is what I have added in this. Now remember, this is only because how much moisture does the rava and basin absorb, right? And this is going to rest in the fridge for some time because the rava needs to soak up into the wet mixture. That's done. Now see that what's happened is it's taken up all the dry from the bowl into one bowl. I'm not having to bring it together. I'm not struggling for it. It's all into one bowl. And now this will need to rest in the fridge. Okay. Put it in a small bowl. This can go into the fridge. Oh, let me just show it to you once more. Yeah. And this can go into the fridge. And I'm just going to rinse my hands and come. So hold on. Okay. Sorry about that. And we're going ahead with the next recipe. Okay. So meanwhile, Roshni is just getting the next tray. We'll be making, I think, the beetroot brownie. Now, the beetroot brownie, let me just tell you a little bit about it. Okay, I'm just going to set the timer for the dough. For the custard, vanilla custard, nankatai, that's the time. All right, now for the beetroot brownie, since we don't want to waste time waiting for the dough to cool down, we're going to start with the next recipe is, we're going to do, I think we'll do the pistachios because the nankatais are going to go into the oven and the beetroot brownies also need to go into the oven. So we're just going to see whichever one is ready. Okay, hold on. Let's get up a confusion. So I don't know whichever recipe comes in first. They're just gonna get the tray. I have told them, but all right. So all right, now the beetroot brownie. I have mentioned either you can use the grated beetroot or you can use the puree. Now the puree is far better. Why? Because the grated, what happens is when you slice the brownie once baked, it tends to leave the shreds hanging. That's not a very clean effect that you want on your brownie when you give it for sale. So definitely you want a little smooth texture on the outside as well. And these can be baked separately into bake and serve, or you can even bake it into a big slab and slice it into the portion that you want to sell it. Now, also at the same time, when you ask me if you can use any other ingredient other than beetroot, or can you skip the beetroot? So uh, I would suggest use the beetroot. Any other ingredient, for that matter, the sugar content will change because the beetroot, in comparison, for example, if you take the pear or the apple, right? Now, the water content, of course, has to be the same. You simply can't take any other fruit which has a lot of moisture in it. Right? The pear or the apple is fine. So you can grate and use that. That will of course melt out. But the beetroot does not really melt into your texture. So you will have to grind it. And the pear and apple, if you add, the sugar content has to be reduced a little bit. So I would rather suggest that. And also the cheese, the cream cheese, when you're adding into the brownie on top. The what happens is the pear and the apple does not really go well with the cream cheese. So I would rather suggest stick to this recipe, right? So at any point, I'd rather suggest that. And other than that, now, if you want, you can skip the hunker, but I'll suggest use it because it gives a little bit of a tangy flavor to it. Because every time you bite into the brownie, which is overpowering the sweet texture, you get that little tangy flavor from the hunker. So if possible, do that, and we can use that. All right, and other than that, hold on, just right. I think I see the beetroot brownie coming in. All right, so we're making that. All right, let's get started. Uh, Now, for the beetroot brownie, so for this recipe, we will need the gas. So I'm using the induction. So why? Because we're going to melt. Of course, every brownie needs that is the uh, butter and chocolate needs to melt together. Okay, so we're taking first thing. What we're going to do is we're going to melt the butter and chocolate.
You want one more?
Before we start off with the melting of the butter and chocolate, I would rather do the dry ingredients first and also um, she is having to run around a lot and she's going to lose a whole lot of weight, which she can compensate on this by looking all the goodies that we have. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna push this away just to show you first the dry ingredients. We're going to sieve it through. I hope you all can see. Right. So we're taking the all-purpose flour. The cocoa powder. And we also need the baking powder and the salt I'm waiting for the salt. Meanwhile, I'll just add the baking powder. What I have here, I just want to show you, this is the beetroot juice. Yeah, I'm just going to show you what we'll be doing with it. This is without water, it's pure beetroot juice, and that's the grated, like pulped beetroot. Right. And so taking the, I need some. Give me things in the order and keep the next one ready. Okay. Go ahead, try it on. Mm. Okay, that's quarter cup of baking powder, quarter teaspoon, I'm sorry, not a cup, you can't be adding a cup and this. Of course, going bonkers today. All right, I hope I've got everything and yeah, so I'm good to go. Yeah, a pinch of salt. You need to add a good pinch of salt. This gives a great flavoring to your brownie because it stands out when you taste into the sweet, extra sweet texture. I want to try and speed up the process because we are lagging behind a little bit due to the technical issue. But we'll do that. And I really appreciate you all being here because today, in fact, being a Sunday, it's definitely everyone has plans. So of course, that's there. All right, so that's the dry ingredient. Now we'll go ahead with our wet ingredient. And this time we'll be taking the larger bowl because everything is going to go into it. Right? Okay, that was the timer for the nankatai. All right, we'll be taking butter, along with chocolate. Now the chocolate that I'm using is the Van Houten. It's the dark compound. So this chocolate and butter mixture is what is going to give the gooiness in your brownie. Right? So just I'm going to allow it to melt. It's taking a while to boil up. Now, why the double boiler? If some of y'all are new to this, we don't heat the chocolate directly on the stove top or any induction, any vessel direct heat. because that will burn. So you have to make sure it is on a double boiler. Now this is a double boiler, means there's some water in the bottom pan, and then the pot, your bowl of chocolate and butter can be on top. So there's just a little steam that's going to help melt the chocolate and butter. Okay. At this point, if you all have any queries, please drop it in the chat box and I will come to it as soon as I finish off with at least a recipe to go into the oven, because I want the process to start. We have like 4 recipes that's going to be in the oven. And so we're going to take alternate. So right now with 1 in the oven, then we'll be doing a no bake. I wonder if you all have seen the reel on my Instagram, which showed the green pistachio, royal pistachio treat, that is a mithai. And do you all wonder if I used artificial green coloring? That's way too much. What's next? I am right. Okay, so there's butter, chocolate, and then once that's done, let's add the sugar. So once again, the sugar is also going to go into this wet mixture, obviously, because it's a wet ingredient, as I told you earlier. Now the chocolate, if you're using a cocoa chip, that's even great. I mean, I used a compound. It's the Van Houten compound chocolate dark chocolate. But if you're not using the cocoa chip, but in that case, your pricing of the brownie, if you're selling it, it's going to go up, of course. So just, I'm going to turn on the heat now, because the heat is there in the steam. So we're going to add sugar, castor sugar. Remember to take only castor sugar. Do not take the regular granulated sugar, because that doesn't work well here. We need it to melt in our brownie. We can't allow it to stay granulated, because then what will happen is in your brownie, when you bite into it, you will find some texture of chunks of sugar in it. And that's not a good thing, definitely. So castor sugar will melt very well and easily. It melts quickly. Now, once you add the sugar, you have to whisk it until it has completely melted. Now, this is the process which is important, because of course the castor sugar does melt easily, much more faster than the regular sugar. But this is the important part of getting that little bit of crinkle on top of your brownie. Right? Okay, once we have added the sugar, now we're going to add the milk. And I'm just going to keep a check on how much I have in it. That's 2.5 tablespoons. Once the sugar is almost melted, we can do that. I'm just going to check. All right, if you see, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's still some granules. So we're just going to whisk it a little bit more. Now I'm going to turn up the heat. I hope I'm still audible, because I do tend to lower my volume at times. I tend to speak softly, and that becomes a little problem at times, but I'll do my best. I hope you all can hear me. So once again, turning up the heat, we're going to melt the chocolate, the sugar a little bit more until it's fully dissolved. Yeah, we're almost there. Okay. All right. That looks good. Now I'm going to add the milk. It's still on heat. I'm going to lower the temperature. And that milk is going to be 2.5 tablespoons. That's 1, 2.5. At this point, you can also add your essence. The essence that I'm going to add is the chocolate essence. Okay, I'm going to take this off the heat now because we don't want it to be too hot. Once we add the flour, when we have to add the flour, it needs to be a little bit at room temperature because we can't have it hot. Okay, so right, so coming to the essence that I was talking about, the essence that I'm going to add is the chocolate essence. This is the Belgian chocolate essence. And that's the COCO-NAHD. That's the brand that I'm using. Yeah. I think I have mentioned it in the PDF. We have mentioned it. So that's about 10 to 12 drops. Okay.
Wait for the brownie.
Okay. Next, what we're going to take is we're going to use our cream cheese and the hamper. That's over time, no? Or faster, not the time. Hold on.
That's how good.
Okay, so we're gonna take hung curd. Now this has been hung overnight. And I've taken excess of course, but we're going to take only the portion that we need. All right, coming to the hung curd will be 2 tablespoons. Okay. That's 1. uh, 2. And then to this we will be adding the cream cheese, of course. So I'm going to cream the cream cheese separately because that's something that we need to do. Because if you try to whisk or mix the hunker way too much, it will start to split. So I'm just going to keep that separately. And we're going to use the cream cheese. And that's 3 tablespoons, which is about 50 grams. So I'm just going to weigh it because I prefer weighing it. I think that's exactly that. Okay, thanks to Roshni, she gave us the exact measurement. All right. Now coming to this part where we're going to just give it a quick whisk until it gets a little creamy. Right. That looks good. We're not going to whisk it too much. Now we're going to use. Oh, we need to add the castor sugar. So. Castor. I gave it. And I'm just waiting for the castor sugar. Hold on. So we'll add the castor sugar into this and then we'll add the hunker. Because what has happened earlier, it's happened once before that I have tried to whisk the cream cheese and the hunker and the sugar and trying to get the sugar incorporated into the cream cheese because it's going to be the top layer. So we don't want that sugar granule in it. That's not going to melt very easily in the cream cheese. So for that reason, you need to whisk the sugar and the cream cheese well enough until the sugar is just enough melted, right? And then add the hunker because otherwise your hunker is going to split. That's what happened with me. I've tried it once before and it didn't work. So just let you know, that's how we're going to do it. All right. So that's 3 tablespoons. And yeah, that's the exact measure. That was half a tablespoon. So it was 3 tablespoons of this, right? So we're done with that. Just give it a good mix. Make sure the sugar is well incorporated because we want it to melt well in the brownie. As a top layer, it's going to take some time to get the heat up there. Because when you're baking, I don't use both the rods on, I use only the bottom rod on. Some of you, I believe, like to use both the rods on. So just make sure. All right, that looks good. See that? All right, time to add the hunker. Notice that I'm not whisking it this time. I'm only using the spatula to get it all mixed. Right. And yeah, just a little bit of vanilla. So once again, I'm using the phosphor bread. So just about 1/4 teaspoon. This is good. We have to show you consistency. Right, this is somewhat dropping consistency as you can see. Alright, so that can be set aside. We will now go ahead with our wet ingredients and the dry ingredients. So we're just going to give it one whisk, just a quick whisk. Make sure we've got everything. Now, this is one thing I've had issues with, I don't know if you all have had, is that you tend to miss out on the ingredients on adding it and then you realize, oh, I forgot this. So just making sure we have everything in here. The chocolate, sugar, melted, and butter and everything. And then the curd. So yes, we need to add the curd. Alright, so what we did forget is the curd. So just making sure we add the curd and mix it well as well. Give it a quick whisk. Now we have everything in here. Once again, I'm not whisking it too much, it's just enough. Right. And at this point, we're going to add also the beetroot, okay? That's our beetroot. Now this beetroot gives it almost like a red velvet texture. You see the color is just amazing from this. Beautiful beetroot. It's just, I'm just gonna give it this. It's just so beautiful. All right, now it goes in the dry ingredients. So now notice what I'm doing is I'm mixing it gently from the center to the out. I'm not going from out to in because that helps make sure all your dry ingredients have been incorporated. Okay, so starting from the center and then don't try to take the flour from the outside. Just take from the center to the out. Automatically incorporate everything. So from the center to the out. Yeah. Not over whisking. I'm just going to leave it to that, and the rest I'm going to use my spatula. So that's the texture that we've got. Now to this, I'm just going to add some chocolate chips. Now this is the Tenero I have used. I'm dropping just a few inside, and then we're going to have some of the top as well. So I'm just leaving half of the topping. Taking the pan. I hope you all can see. And this is a 7 by 7 inch pan. It has been greased and lined with the parchment paper. Okay. So this time what I'm making is a brownie that is going to give you a height just enough to get that gooiness inside because when you have that height, and you're trying to slice into it, it just gets very difficult with the beetroot inside. So just make sure if you can use a flatter tray that is 7 by 7, which gives you a nice thickness, just enough for your brownie. Because you don't want it to look like a cake. So just doing that, getting everything into the pan. Okay, and tacking it a few times. Making sure we remove all the elements, and I'm going to add the chocolate already. And then we're going to add the cream cheese. Now the cream cheese can be swirled. So just drop a dollop and random dollops. You don't need to make it perfect. It's just random. And so just a few here. There. Right. So I haven't used everything. Just notice I'm not using everything. It's just enough for me. And I'm going to swirl it. I need a skewer. I usually use a skewer, but that's okay. We can work with our spatula. So I'm just going to give it a swirl. All right, that's done. Now we're going to add the beetroot juice. So we're just going to take a little bit of beetroot juice and drop it onto the cream cheese. It will give a beautiful pink color. But remember, we don't want to go overboard because this is liquid after all. So just remember, we don't want to pour all of it in there. Maybe just about a teaspoon and a half should be enough, right? So just going to show you. I hope you all can see this. That is good. All right, so this can go into the oven. And this is going to be for just about 12 to 15 minutes. And based on your oven, just keep a check because we don't want it to be overbaked, right? We just want it to be with a little crumbs on your skewer, right? So this can go into the oven. And I think I'm going to sprinkle some more chocolate. It's just, I want it to be more chocolate. So in every bite, you get some chocolate. Yeah. I just love how they look with the beautiful brown pearls, I call them. It's just beautiful. Something you just can't resist. That's it. Okay, I think I've overdone it. All right. There you go. All right, this is go. And let's get going with our next recipe. Okay. So coming to the next recipe, we're going to be doing the Royal Pistachio Delight. Now, as I was asking earlier about the Royal Pistachio Delight, is the recipe does not have any kind of additives or any kind of food coloring. And I ideally do not use any kind of food coloring in my products. And as far as possible, just avoid it because it has a lot of synthetic in it. So I'd suggest do that for your products. And trust me, as natural and as organic as you go, the products are going to be loved by everyone. And you can definitely vouch on it because it's not something you'll get anywhere else. So just stick to it and trust me, you'll have many clients asking for more. Okay. Sorry about that. I thought the audio was on. Yeah, I'll just repeat myself. So we're going to start with the pistachio, royal pistachio delight. In this recipe, I have taken almond flour. I know some of you might think, why almond flour? I mean, it just makes the recipe extremely expensive to sell. You have to. I understand. Definitely, there is an option how you can replace this or substitute this with the basin. I would say this is not basin. Now, this is the trick over here, what I'm going to use. So I will give you a substitute for the almond flour. Once the workshop is over, we'll give a full detailed recipe substitution. All right. And so let's get started. I'm not going to hold on any longer. So just taking my grinder and taking the almond flour. And now this is not the regular basin. What I have taken is the chana. If I can just show the chana. Because Roshni, poor thing, Roshni is having to run about today. Okay. But she's gonna thank me for it later. Yeah. I hope so. So that's the chana powder. Now, the chana I'm talking about is this. This is the chana. This is a roasted chana, so you don't need to roast this at all. If you were to take besan, you would have to roast it. And besan tendency is that because it is a dry powder, it tends to absorb a lot of moisture. Now, this being roasted, it does not absorb as much. Okay, so we can take this, and to this we will also add the jaggery powder. All right, I'm just going to give it a quick. Okay. Do you do this? Because I do it many times. Okay, all right, now let's just hope it works. That was a little bit of a Charlie Chaplin kind of a thing. Not a stunt, but it just happened. Okay, so I haven't given much of a grinding. The reason being, what happens is the almond flour, it will start to release its oil. So we don't want that, okay? And I'm just gonna take a tablespoon. Now, this is ghee. Oh, but I also need to add the cardamom powder. So we're just going to quickly add the cardamom powder, and that should be a quarter teaspoon. So that's quarter teaspoon of the cardamom powder. And the saffron, I'm not going to add too much because it's very overpowering. So just a wee bit. But you of course want that fragrance of that royal feeling. Okay, a quick grinding. And that's good. So you're going to have a look. And yeah. And to this, we'll be adding a tablespoon of melted ghee. Now this ghee can be hot uh, because it helps to bind everything well. So just going to add a little at a time. So I've just taken 1.5 tablespoons. Almost coming together, but I want it to be binding, so we're going to complete that 2 tablespoon measure. So that's a complete 2 tablespoons gone in it. Coming together now. Why I'm stopping every now and then is because I do not want the almond flour to start releasing its oils too much, because we just want it to bind. We don't want it to melt. Because once that oil starts to release, it will all just melt away. It won't stay for. Almost there. I think now at this point, I want to show you with that 2 tablespoons. What has happened is it is binding, but I'm finding it to be a wee bit dry, or maybe I'll just feel it with my fingertips because that's the best way to figure out whether you're there or not. I think, yeah, we're good. Yeah, 2 tablespoons is enough. So this is the binding that we're looking at. But if at all you want a wee bit more, you can add. I think, yeah, we don't want our treat to be dry. So when you bite into it, you want it to melt. So I'm just going to add, I think, half a tablespoon more. That's half a tablespoon. Okay, this is looking good. I like the aroma of it, the cardamom and the saffron. It's just. That's looking good. So I'm just going to show you the texture now. It's nice and soft. It's not feeling dry, so but it's binding as well. That's what we want, right? So it's nice and soft. So just make sure you get this consistency. And then at this point, we're going to start with we're going to take this into our 9 10. This is for easy removal. Okay, I'm just going to drop it in there. Oh, and this is a 4 by 4 inch tin. But if you all want a different size, then definitely you can do that. If you want a more flatter treat, where you can slice them into portions, which is just enough, because it is a sweet, we don't want so much of it for anybody, because then it gets very overpowering, the sweet in your palate, in your mouth. We want it to be just enough. We don't want so much of sugar in our palate. Right, so I'm just going to level it up. So I want to share with you all over here is that this option of making this with a full chana basin, as we call it. This is almost like a sattu, we call it, and using it with the ghee. And just this itself was made into laddus, and that went out to Priyanka Chopra's brother's wedding, and I was blessed to get that opportunity. And Dr. Madhu Chopra, as we know, Priyanka Chopra's mother, she has a clinic pretty close to my house, and it was through via an acquaintance, and she got to taste my laddus during Diwali last year, and she just loved it so much. She asked a friend who I offered the laddus during Diwali, and she asked her, please ask this lady to make 1 kg of this for my daughter. And I was amazed. I said, oh my God, Priyanka Chopra have my laddus. And just blessed. I got that offer. So yeah. And then past that, she gave me an order for the wedding, which was on the 7th of February this year. I did that as well. And it was for all the guests, the important guests that came in for the wedding. And I'm happy I could do it. So I'll share a little bit more on that, on how I went about it and everything. But yeah, so meanwhile, this is the first layer, and this will go into the fridge for some time until it sets just a little bit. We don't want it to go hard, right? It's only to set so that we do the top layer. Right? Just going to clear it up over here. Right, so the next step, Roshni, we can have this in the fridge, please. Okay. Now the second layer, that is the top layer, of course. But as I was talking about the green pistachios, I have not used any kind of coloring now in the top layer. So now how did I get this is I have written the method in the instructions for the pistachios, how to get that green, is that you need to put it in the boiling water for 20 seconds and then just immediately transfer it into the ice bath. So you have to stop the cooking over there and then you just take it in the towel, rub it together, and you get this beautiful skinned pistachios. And they just turn out so beautiful. I just love the color that it gives without having to add any kind of food coloring. It's just the best. Now to the pistachios, I'm also going to be adding the white chocolate. So of course, the bottom layer is healthy to the jaggery. The top layer does have chocolate. The only reason because if we add jaggery in this, the color is not going to retain its green, right? It's going to go brown. So we don't want that, and for the very reason why the white chocolate. Now the white chocolate can go into it directly without melting. We usually would use a double boiler method to melt the chocolate and add it into the mixture. But in this, we're not doing double boiler method. Reason being, because the heat that goes into melting the white chocolate is very minimal and it is very sensitive. And if you go overboard, it can burn and it'll seize. It will not form a smooth, dropping, flowing consistency. Right? So for that reason, the heat generated in the grinder is going to be enough for it to make it a paste. So almost like a ganache. So I'll show you how it's going to work. I just love that color. Oh my God, this is beautiful. Just makes me happy. The aroma. Oops, it's stuck. Yeah. I just need to show you this. Just look at that, how beautiful the color is. And it's now almost forming a paste, but we just need to give it a little more grinding. We need to pulse it a little bit more, and then we'll be ready. And at this point, we can also add the saffron. So I'm not adding much, it's just 2 strands. Yeah, that's 2 strands alone, because it's a very thin layer. Okay, that's looking good. I'm just going to show it to you. We notice. Now, this is almost like a moldable ganache. You can see this. Yes. Now, because it's like as if you would have to mold it, the reason we cannot put it directly onto the base layer. We're going to just give it a shape and then put it onto the base layer. Because it's not a pouring consistency. For that reason, we're just going to work with it separately and then put it onto the base layer. Now, in this recipe, if you're gonna ask me that can we change the nuts in this? Yes, you can. But it's the color that gives it a distinct look that you would want to showcase in your hamper if you're selling it. So, but otherwise you can use any nut you like. And yes, the white chocolate will go well with any of the nuts. But then again, the nut is going to be brown if you're going to use any other. So I would rather suggest that you can just take this rather. Okay, and I'm just going to layer it. Taking it to the corners so it can spread well. Giving it an even layer. And now I have not added any kind of cardamom in here in this pistachio paste. So we're only focusing on the cardamom in the base layer. The top layer only has saffron, and which is good what we're looking for because we want a little distinct taste difference between the bottom and the top. We don't want both to taste the same, right? And now we're gonna have some more extra pistachios to top it with. And this can just be set aside. We are not going to refrigerate this. Just for you all to know, we're not refrigerating this because what will happen is your chocolate, the ganache which has been melted, the white chocolate will harden. Plus your ghee which has been added in the base layer will harden. And it's not going to give you a very fresh taste. So this can stay out in the open for at least a good 6 to 7 days. Why? Because we haven't added any kind of moisture in it. As in, we're not added any kind of liquid in terms of milk or water. Right? So this is just with ghee and the oils that are released from the nuts, and which is perfect. So that's done. And we'll leave it aside, and we can just do topping. And so the topping is going to be, you can do the rose petals, right? That can go in. And it can also be the kesar, which can be on top, plus some chopped green pistachios can go on top, right? So that's how we're going to decorate. And we can give it to Roshni, she can get that done, while we go to the next recipe. All right, that's the dough, which has been resting in the fridge, and that's the texture. It's rested a bit longer than we planned to, but that's okay. We're gonna work with it now. So even if it's rested that long, it's absolutely fine. And this recipe, the beauty of this recipe is that we can also refrigerate this overnight if you want to bake it the following day. You can probably put it in the fridge or the freezer if you want it to last longer. And you can always bake it whenever you feel like, when you're ready to. Okay, so I'm just going to portion it out. What I do is I love using dispense paper. It's just amazing. It gives you an even consistency to all my dough. So each time, of course, then it's just, you just have to mold it with your hands to see wherever it may be less or more, and you can work accordingly. Okay, so I think we'll do it. Let's see this one. And all you need to do is just roll it, mold it, and top it with some pistachios, or you can just put some elaichi powder on the top if you like, but I prefer to avoid that because what happens is the elaichi powder will tend to burn because it's going to get baked. But we have already added inside, so we don't need to add it again on top. So I think the pistachios just work fine. So I'm going to mold each of them. Just roll them. And with the thumb, it's like thumbprint cookies, if you might say. Right? And this time I'm making the mini ones. And similarly, repeat the same for all of them. Until a bit more than the other. So it's always gauging your consistency based on your measurements just by touch. And don't worry if you find some cracks in there. I'm just going to seal this a little bit. And some cracks are absolutely fine, which is just a natural rustic look that we want. At this point, if any of you all have any questions, do let me know in the comments below. I'll answer them once I put this in the oven. And I'll just answer a few questions regarding the recipes that we finished so far. The 3 recipes. We have 3 more to go. Actually, 4 more with the bonus. Just drop in into the chat. all your queries and we'll work on it. Right, so at this point, I also wanted to continue sharing about that the laddus that I offered for my for Priyanka Chopra. It started off because I offered these laddus as a gift to one of my friend, and she works with Priyanka Chopra's mother. She's a doctor, and I offered her my hamper for Diwali as a gift to my friend. So, and she happened to offer a part of it for taste to Dr. Madhu Chopra, and that's how it happened. It's she just opted to choose this over all the other uh, catering for the wedding. And she wanted it to be a small, close-knit wedding where all the special guests were called in. It wasn't a very flamboyant wedding. She wanted to keep it just a very homely feel. And so those few she invited, she wanted that touch of a home-baked goodie. And that's how I came into picture. And I would say, if you're asking me, how did I get this, get her to choose mine, is only because what happens is you just have to be humble with your offerings in the sense that each time I would bake something, I would just offer it to my friend, um, not knowing what's stored in the process, because it was just out of pure joy of sharing it with her that I just offered my goodies and this worked. So we may think that sometimes, how much can I keep offering? I mean, I'm baking it, I need something out of it. But it's okay. Sometimes it's just okay to share your goodies and let people enjoy. And the joy that you get when you share these goodies with them and they feel so happy to enjoy them, that's the best feeling. So I feel just do that, keep doing that, and you definitely get something on the way. All right, so I'm just going to add these pistachios, and these can go into the oven. And we will just take your questions from the chat box. And I'm just going to sip a little bit of water after this. So just give me a 2-minute break. Okay. So your nankatais are going to be baked, ready to be baked. Just pressing them into the center because we don't want it to be falling off. Tendency is that it does fall off. But we can always add again on top. So, all right, so here we go. Ready with the nankatai go into the oven. So I'm just going to get a quick rinse and a sip a little water and be back for your questions, right? Oh, did someone say not hearing?
This is old.
Okay, that was at 11:30. Am I audible right now? Because I hope I am. I hope you all didn't miss out on anything. I'm just going to take the questions quickly. Vanilla flavored custard. Yes, that was the vanilla flavor. I did mention that. Right, the shelf life for the nankatai. Money echoing. Just need to stop that. This. Seema, are you still finding my audio is not Audible? I'm not audible, is it? Can you just check now? Am I audible? Okay, perfect, perfect. Okay, so coming to your questions, Dhruti, you were asking, sorry. I think what was it? Yes, Dhruti was asking. The shelf life of the nankatais can last up to a month in an airtight container. Make sure it is away from the direct heat and sunlight. And the airtight containers can have a moisture absorber. So I will show it to you. Yeah, I have it right here. So this is the Oxy Absorb, which I use in my baked products for a longer shelf life. Because of the moisture that we have in Mumbai, and I am living by the seaside, so all the more the humidity level is way too high. So all my baked goodies can get a little soft over a period of time. So I do use this. And at the same time, what you can do, if at all you find that they have gone soft, you can always rebake them just about 5 minutes at a low temperature. Right? You just want to get that crispness back. You don't want to bake it. So just about 5 to 7 minutes at a low temperature. Okay. Pansari in our castor sugar. Is there an echo? All right. Okay. Now the pansari in our instead of the castor sugar, yes, you can use, but Kansari is quite coarse. So I would prefer that you all grind it. And because it takes longer to melt, it will give a different texture. So just give it a try with a small batch, I'll say, and see how it works, right? But make sure to grind it. Thank you, Dhruti. I'm so happy. I hope everyone's liking it, this whole session. And okay, so Chaudhary, yes, we will be giving you the recording and it will be for a lifetime access. And we are trying our best to get it on Facebook, but there are some new rules that have come up on Facebook where you cannot have it beyond 2 years. So we're going to work on it and we'll give you the access as soon as possible. And yes, but you will be getting the recording. Thank you, Saina. Thank you, Bruti. Yes, Dhruti, coming to the shelf life of all these recipes, I will be mentioning this towards the end of the session once we finish all the recipes. But for now, I'll tell you for the ones that we have finished, like the pistachio delight, that can last up to say 2 weeks easily at a room temperature. You don't need to refrigerate. And beyond that, of course, you can refrigerate even if you do it in the first week itself and bring it out when you want to serve it. It will easily last up to a month in the fridge, right? Easily, I'll say, because it does not have any kind of milk or water in it. So remember, any product which does not have the moisture beyond milk or, sorry, beyond ghee or butter, which is butter still has certain amount of moisture in terms of water content, but the ghee is another form of fats, which has maximum amount of fats, and so it can keep the shelf life of the products longer, right? So that you can keep in mind. And next, that. Yes, Ahmad was asking about the level and what rod to be baked on. So the baking can be done with the bottom rod on is what I use always. And the temperatures have been mentioned in our PDF. It's usually what I usually bake it at is a 175 degrees Celsius. Is my temperature that I always stick to because my oven works differently and I work according to how it shows the result. Okay. Okay, great. So we're good. Okay, coming to the next recipe. So now we're going to do a no bake one because the custard cookies have gone in. So coming to the Moringa Makhana. So what I have here is we're going to be taking the makhana and the cashews. We're going to be roasting them. They have been lightly roasted already because I didn't want to waste that time span since we are short on time. So I'm just going to check if it's done. I think it needs a little bit more roasting, so I'm just going to do a little bit more because it needs to be that crispness once you finish roasting them. So just going to do that. Now, along with the makhana, so of course, as per the recipe, we have given you the option of, we have given you the recipe with the peanuts and cashew. You can change the nuts according to what you wish to add. You don't need to add only this, or you can skip it altogether. You can choose what you want to do. Because now if you're trying to sell this as a product in your hamper, you need to make it cost effective. If your client is asking you a hamper, which is just 800 rupees, so you can add maybe a little of this makhana, which is without the nuts, right? So 1 jar of that. And then you can probably take another jar of the sweet. So you want a savory and a sweet in that hamper. So if it's for 800, I'll show you later on towards the end of the session where we have options of how you can cater to the different clients based on the requirement. Right? So the other jar can have a sweet, maybe bake and serve brownie, right? If not, then you can always give the pistachio, the royal pistachio delight, because they can easily last, as I mentioned. So both of these will look beautiful in a hamper together. Towards the end of the session, I will be talking about how you can sell your hamper at what price and also the packaging ideas. And plus, in addition, if some of you are from Mumbai, then I can guide you on the vendors list, which we will be sharing later on, and Roshni will do that. So I'm just going to talk to you about it later on towards the end of the session. But in addition to this, I also have roasted the nuts. Okay. That is the cashews. It's been roasted already. Cashews and the peanuts. These have also been roasted. So once this is done, I'm going to give a quick stir for the nuts as well to the pan. Now, this recipe is the Moringa spiced makhana. Now, the Moringa, in case some of you don't know, if anybody does not know, then the Moringa powder is the drumstick leaves. It's the powder of that. It's very healthy and it can be added in your curries, in your dal, in your recipes. And this was also a part of my reel recently. I used this as a cookie ingredient and it turned out really well. In fact, cookies were loved by my clients when I offered it to them. They were surprised how did they even turn out to be so good with moringa. And yeah, it's a great flavoring. So definitely we can give it a try. The recipe is up on my Instagram. And if you all have any doubts regarding the recipe, I'm right here. Just ping me on the WhatsApp group and sure. So remember in the group, I'm not going to be only talking about this recipe. So if you have any queries regarding any of our other recipes, I'm very well open to answering them. So don't worry about that. It just makes me happy that you'll get going with your baking and the joy of seeing you all coming up with your recipes, with innovating our recipes, with your ideas. So it's the best part. So keep that going. Okay, I'm thinking this is good to go. I'm just going to reduce it further. And I'm also going to add cashews and the peanuts. And at this point, I'm also going to add the sesame. And that's about a teaspoon. So once the sesame starts popping, we know obviously that it's been roasted. There's another addition that I would like to put, not right now, but it's an option that you all can add. It's black sesame instead of the white, or you can use a mix of both. It gives a great flavor in the black sesame and the white. And also in some cases, I have also added a bit of kalonji. Now the kalonji is bitter, so you have to be careful. You do not want to overpower that taste. Okay. All right, so the sesame seems to be almost roasted. See, they have fluffed up. All right, now at this point, I'm going to turn off the heat. And what we are going to do is we're just going to give a mix to all the dry ingredients in one bowl. All right, so the dry powder, what we're going to take is the garlic powder. This is the KR brand. That's about 1 teaspoon. Oh, it's about a teaspoon, so I've taken half, sorry, that's quarter. Then we have the jeera powder, which is half a teaspoon, right? That's jeera. Then we have the red chili powder. I haven't written it here, is it? I seem to have missed out on the red chili powder, but you can add half, or if you like more of a spice. Because we don't have green chili powder, so we're going to use this red a little less because we want the green color to stand out. And the haldi powder, which is a quarter teaspoon. And then we have the lemon powder. Now the lemon powder, it gives a great tanginess to this savory treat. It just gives your palate that extra, what do you say, the kind of a comfort feeling. It's just so warm and tangy and spicy. It's the kind of feeling when you take a packet of chips and then you just can't stop eating it. Right? So that's the feeling when you get when you bite into these. Now coming to the moringa powder, we're going to take a 1, 2, and a half. So that's 1.5 teaspoon. We're going to give it a quick mix. Right? So all of that. I think the next one ingredient, salt. Salt is really so that's mixed up. Now we're just going to take our pan back. Now, there is a way of roasting your cashews to be salty. I didn't do it in this recipe. I have done it for the other cashew custard recipe, which I will show you how to do it. Okay. Now, taking our salt, and we're going to take some oil first, and just about a teaspoon, less than a teaspoon, not too much. Okay, so half, that's it. And just give it a quick stir, and you can add the salt to it because we want the nuts to catch on to the salt first and then the spices. Right? All right, so we're good to go with our spices. We can add a joint to it. And we can also add just half a teaspoon, just enough to allow the spices to coat onto the bananas and the nuts. So I've turned off the heat because there's enough heat. Oops. They're popping, so we can call them popcorn bananas. Okay. Rather do this in a bowl with a quarter teaspoon of the oil, is that way you can just massage the spices into the makana. They need a good massage. So we're just gonna do that. So if I can get a bowl, Roshni. Thank you. Oh, I think I need a larger one. Thank you. So, yeah. This recipe is a great snack for anyone and everyone. You just sit for your movie or, yeah, just watching TV and movie. And it's a great option to rather than having your popcorn. So, like I said, if it's popping, then we're gonna call it popping macanas. There you go. We'll just give it a good massage. Get it all coated well while it's still warm and the oil is on it. So what you can do instead of putting the oil into the bowl, you can take some oil on your palm and just kind of get it going. Get the whole thing mixed well. Now to this, in the end, the best part. If you want a little bit extra crunch, flavored crunch, I would suggest take a few, no, I would actually wing it right now. My stove is up here, but you can take curry leaves and give it a fry into a teaspoon or a tablespoon of oil until it's crisp. So you fry the curry leaves and then just leave it in here when you store them in a jar and yeah, you're good now. So that's coated. Okay. So you can put the curry leaves in here and then just pack it up. And the flavor, the aroma that you get when you open the jar, it's just too good. So it's something that we usually pick on something when we are watching a movie or, yeah, just sitting to watch anything or just chatting maybe. All right. So we're good with this recipe. And I think Rocky can do the curry leaves and leave that aside. And let's jump to the next recipe. Next here, what we have is the yummy cheese sticks. Now, any what? All right, coming to the next recipe is the kids' favorite. It's the cheese garlic sticks. You can skip the garlic if you want, and the kids will love it. Trust me, try this, and it's so very easy to make. In fact, I came up with this recipe while I was making the Choco Pops, where you can just pipe out the Choco Pops and then just bake them. You don't need to actually work with it, right? So just get the piping bags and pipe it out and put it in the oven. So that's something I will be showing you today. Right now is so I hope you all are enjoying so far, and if at any point you think that it is way too much, it's going overboard, you need a break, or I took my break, that's fine. I can take a break a little later. I really want to get going with our recipes. So if you need a break from me, okay. So just let me know. If you want me to go silent, I'm fine with that as well. But it's just, I feel like I just want to share how much ever I can, because it's the personal experiences that really matter. Okay, that coming to, oh, oh, wow. Oh, these are looking good. Done a good job. I love that. See the beautiful crack. I just want to show them to you. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so we're going to showcase everything later on, all the baked items, and we'll have a party. Um, I'm sorry, I have all the goodies with me. I wish all were here. Ingredients. I'm extremely sorry for that. So we'll just have a go at it again, and I'll do it quickly, keeping in mind that we're running short of time. So everything is the same. I hope it's not like this in your recipe, because it's supposed to be 80 grams. It's not 150, because that's exactly what I was thinking when I took the flour and I was saying, this is not looking right. All right, so I'm just going to weigh it and tell you how much is the dry flour. It should be 80 grams. And yep, that's 80. So I don't know if y'all can see it from there, but that's 80 grams. Yeah, so going back with our ingredients again, we're just going to quickly take the garlic powder. And this can go back. So that's a quarter teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm going to whisk through this now. The quarter teaspoon of the chili powder. Salt is going to be half. Then we have the cornstarch, which is 1 tablespoon. Right? That's all right, so we have all the dry ingredients. Let's see. And the baking powder, that's the half teaspoon. Right? Just going to do that. Baking powder will be half a teaspoon. And Beetroot. And Roshni can do that when I go ahead with the wet ingredients. Right. So we're taking the butter once again. And so I'm not wiping the blades off because, which is obviously it's the same recipe. So we don't need to wash it or wipe it. It's absolutely fine. Okay. Going to be adding 2 tablespoons of the cheese powder. That's one. Little extra is absolutely fine. We don't mind a little extra cheese. Right time to add the milk. Now this time we're going to stick to the measurement that I have given, which is 4 tablespoons. So that's one, that's two, and I'm adding three for now, like we did earlier. So the mixture. You know, the feeling I'm having right now is like as if I were to bake for an order. This is like a last minute order, and my client is asking me, give me quickly. I need a packet of cheese sticks. All right, that's ready. Now we can have the dry ingredients. And this time I'm fine. This is fine. This is looking good. We're not kneading this dough. We're going to make it to a biteable consistency, as I mentioned earlier. Right. On point. Whoever mentioned it, I forgot the salt. Yes, it's above. Or did I?
It's Abba.
What's that?
Abba, I was just checking, have you added salt this time?
Ah, okay. Thank you, Abba. And yeah, that should be half a teaspoon.
You did. I see you did.
Oh, yeah. Oh. See what happens when you do the recipe twice and you're still thinking, did I get everything in it? It's just that feeling. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more milk. So this is the consistency right now with the 3 tablespoons, and we're going to stick to the 4 tablespoons. So
Remove the
we'll
juice.
add that. Oh yes, we're going to add that as well. 4 tablespoons, and I will need that, all of that butter in my dough. Once again, just getting that was a little bit of a funny situation. Did I add? Did I not? Now it'll all be in the taste when we finally bake it and taste it. So let's see how it goes. All right. Okay, that's done. Now let's get going with mixing it all up. Okay. This is exactly what I was looking for earlier, and I was worried what happened. Why am I having to add so much of milk? So notice this. This is the consistency, right? It's spreadable. That's the consistency we're looking for. Okay, now getting our piping bags ready. So I'm going to take 2 piping bags. One for the dough and the other for the nozzle. The reason being that what is happening with my piping bag is that it's not very sturdy. And for that reason, I prefer to take this. Also, there's another trick to it. There's another thing to it is that when you use 2 piping bags with one with the nozzle and the other with the dough, you can easily change your nozzle. We don't need to worry about removing the entire dough and thinking, oh my God, this is such a mess. No, don't get that feeling. So the other one, we're using the northern tip, which we have mentioned in our PDF. If not, we will send the link to this novel. I have picked it up from a local vendor store, and it doesn't have any label to it. It's just funny why they don't label it, but I definitely drop in the link. And I am going to need a scissor. Roshni, if you don't mind, can I have a scissor? And this can go. And we'll get our tray lined with the parchment paper. The scraper. The bench scraper. You. Now, this is the one trick that I love using this bench scraper for, is that you can just push all the dough towards the front. And this way you use up all the dough. You don't have any wastage. Okay. Okay. That looks good. Now I'm going to try five thin strips out of it because we want it to bake faster. Right? So really thin, as in flatter, not narrow. And that's looking good. I am finding the dough to be a little bit more tight. So if you find that, you can add half a tablespoon of milk. But don't add too much because now what happens when you add too much of milk, your dough will take longer to dry and bake in the oven. So the more moisture in your goodies, the longer they will take to bake. So just remember, you need to reduce or keep it the same or don't add too much. And the strips can be as long or as short as you want, depending on the size of your jar. So you can measure the length or the height, sorry, the height of your jar, and the length of the strips can be according. Okay, so I'm keeping the dough for the next tray, but Roshni will be doing that. This is just for you all to see how it's going to be piped, and these can go into the oven. Now these need to be baked at a low temperature, right? So I'm mentioning the PDF, and this will go into the oven, okay? Now coming to our next recipe. We will be doing the. Oh, okay, we'll be doing the cashew. Great. Oh, and one more thing I need to mention in this cheese sticks is that we need to sprinkle it with some kalonji, which is the black seed. Notice here, but not right now. It goes into the oven, and halfway through, you just need to turn the oven, bring it out first, and sprinkle these, and then put it back in the oven. Right? Because what will happen is this will start baking too much and will give you a bitter taste. It already has a little bitter taste. So once you bring it out halfway, sprinkle a little bit of cheese powder, right? And a little bit of kalonji all over it. And they will be baked fine and they will stick to it. And otherwise, what will happen is they will fall off. Okay, coming to the next recipe. Okay, in the cashew patches. Okay, so Rocky was having a bit of a disco moment right now. Little light. I couldn't. You're good now?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, so coming to the cashew clusters, now this was supposed to be shown at the end after the apricot delight, but we're doing this first because we already have something in the oven right now, right? Cheese sticks. So we're gonna have to work with something that's no bake. So we're going to do this recipe first. So coming to the cashew clusters, now what I have done is I have already roasted these cashews. They have been roasted in salt. So you take a cup full or 2 cups of salt, take these cashews and lightly roast them while it gets coated. Now why in the salt is because I wanted salted cashews. So that's why the reason, and that's why you get these. And coat it with a little bit of water before you drop them in the salt. So it will coat that little bit of salt flavoring in the cashew. All right, so that's done. Now we're gonna have to just chop them. If you can just do it, just to medium pieces. If you can just chop them, because the reason being that they need to coat evenly. You can keep them whole, but what will happen is in the clusters, you'll have those cashews popping out way too much and it will not coat evenly with the sugar and the butter mixture. Okay, so we don't need this right now. We need the induction. So we're going to combine the brown sugar and the butter. So that's brown sugar, which is the bluebird I have used. You can use any brown sugar you like, but make sure that it has a melting point that is easier rather than having to worry about melting it so much and your butter might just burn in the process. So make sure your sugar should melt. So I'm just gonna leave this for a bit while it's heating up. And keep it at a low temperature because what will happen is when you melt the sugar and you're trying to speed up the process, you may end up burning it. Because once it starts heating up, when the sugar starts heating, the temperature that it goes up so high, it's very difficult, it's very slow rather to come down to a cooling point. So the sugar can have a very high temperature. So just be careful, keep it on low temperature and work with it. You take the sugar. Once I see that it's starting to melt, I'll add in the butter because what will happen is the butter will start burning. Right? So we just want to make sure that the sugar starts melting and then we add butter. Now in this, I have also mentioned about the candied ginger. The ginger, you can skip it if you like, but I like a little bit of spice in the sweet because that works well. We're going to work with a larger bowl. Once this is done, this won't work. We're going to have to use a larger bowl. And once this has melted, you need to keep your cashew and your cornflakes. I'm going to use cornflakes in this recipe. So as you can these crispy cornflakes, these stay crunchy even after you finished with the whole process and you leave them at room temperature. Do not put them in the fridge, just at room temperature, and they can be put in an airtight container again with the absorber as I mentioned. And you can put them in a plastic, individual plastic. So if you're selling it to your clients and you want to have it a longer shelf life, it does have a long shelf life, just that it may go a little sticky. So have them packed in individually in those individual sealed packets. Right? And they work beautifully, so you can do that. Or if you have a jar that you can put them in and with the absorber and the customer, the client is going to consume it in the next 2 or 3 days. It's absolutely fine. Don't need to put them in the individual pouches. Okay. Don't see it melting. Now at this point, I'm getting tempted to increase the temperature because it's not melting. Now this is what is testing your patience. Sometimes it's just the recipe is like shouting out, just hold on, don't hurry me out. Can I have a big bowl, please? Roshni is in the roll. Okay. Are we there yet? I don't see any sugar melting. I am going to increase the temperature to just 1 step more. Because this is really testing our patience. So sesame seed. Go. And some chili powder, cheese powder. I was just talking about the cheese flakes. There's oops. Because it needs to be baked with the black seed, that is the kalonji or the Nigella seeds. Okay, I think I see it melting a little bit. Yes, I'm going to reduce the temperature now. And we're going to add in the butter. So if you notice, and just bring it up close. It started to melt. Right. And remember, as I mentioned, that the sugar will start to burn, so you have to be careful it does not burn. Right? So add in your butter at this point. The sound of that sizzle. Now, this being my favorite recipe, which you can tweak and actually get caramelized popcorn from this recipe. Now we are using cornflakes and cashews. This was a twist for the Raksha Bandhan hamper. But I've done this, and you can coat your popcorn, your regular salted popcorns, and drop them in here once they're popped. Coat them evenly, and trust me, they taste amazing. So, but you do need to make sure it's not the consistency should be just enough for the popcorn. You can't have so much of sugar and butter mixture. Accordingly, you can coat it just a light coating. Can set 1 point. Now, another ingredient that we have is the candied ginger, as I have mentioned. So these ginger strips are easily available at the sweet shop. I prefer buying it from my local sweet store. They have a good brand. I mean, they make their own, so I really like it because it's organic. There isn't any preservatives in here, so you can definitely make sure it's going to give you a good flavoring. Right. Now you'll see that sugar is going to start bubbling. I don't know if you can notice, but I'll bring it up close. Make sure to keep stirring it because we don't want the sugar and butter to burn. We don't need to melt. We don't want it to burn. Okay? So just be careful on that. There's another tweak to this recipe is what you can do is you can add a flavoring of coffee. Now, the coffee granules, I haven't really tried it yet because I feel that may burn. It's a dry powder. We don't want it to burn. You want a flavoring. So for that reason, I have used the Osoro essence, which I had shown you the brand earlier for the chocolate and the vanilla. It's the same brand, and I love their Irish coffee essence. It's a great flavoring. I love it. It gives immense flavor in every bite. So I have used it for my cookies, and they work perfect. So you can try adding that, and it gives you a coffee caramel. So it's a great taste. So there are so many things that you can do. I mean, the variations are endless. You can go by your choice of spices or flavoring. It's all up to you. Entirely up to you. And of course, up to your client what they want. Because if your client does not like coffee, then that's definitely not something you want to offer. Done. I'm going to reduce the temperature because I'm worried I will burn the sugar. So we want it to melt, not burn. And because it's a brown sugar, you may find that the color has gone super dark, but don't worry about it. Again, it's a matter of patience. You can get it done right. It's usually the stove gas that gives me a perfect consistency because I know the temperature at which it will melt. And the stove top gives me a perfect result. But when it comes to induction, it plays a big role in how much temperature you're going to choose. So I'm really struggling to get it to melt. But yeah, I think we're getting there. At this point, you need to be quick after this. So you need to have your baking tray with the parchment ready. So I'm just going to call out on washing. The baking tray with the parchment paper will be kept ready so that we can have it transferred immediately and we don't have to. And at the same time, what you can do is also layer it out into one sheet if at all you do. Or because you can always bake it once it has formed into a brownie sheet. The paper tray. Can I have the bigger tray? Um, okay, Josh is saying no. We don't have a bigger tray. We have to work with what we have. Tempted to increase the temperature, but I cannot because it's almost reached the point where it's going to completely melt. And if I increase the temperature here, it's definitely going to burn. So let's not do that. So I'm not going to use the bowl to transfer it into. I'm going to drop all the cashew and the cornflakes into it. So we get a good mix in it by the way. And then add half the ginger strips or pieces in it. And then sprinkle the rest of half on top. And for that, you have to be really quick because it's going to set like immediately. Right? Keeping my tray ready. And if you're working solo, of course, you need to have this ready before you start off with this process. Okay, it's looking like it's melted. Almost there. All right, I'm going to add the cashews, which have been chopped. And also the cornflakes. And some ginger. Oh, okay. Thank you, Roshni. I would have worked with that. It's okay. Now, this you have to be quick with. Okay. Seem to be finding the clusters taking up too much of the cornflakes. I think the cornflakes consistency was a wee bit too much. So I'm adding ginger. Mix it in. At this point, turn off your heat. Obviously, you can't use your hands, so you're gonna have to work with two spatulas. And yeah, just looks good. I still feel there's some consistency of the sugar and butter mixture compared to the cornflakes. It can be adjusted For some reason, it's looking different from what I had prepared earlier, but let me just pour it up. And I will show you, I have made a batch earlier this morning, but I will show you this and that. So I'm adding the rest of the ginger. Roshni, if you can just take this, please.
Yes.
Okay, I think she burned first time. So I'm just gonna leave it in a full sheet. And then you can just break it if it needs to be, or it will just fall apart on its own. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's, yikes. The cashew clusters, and this is the cashew cornflake clusters. Now, I do have some melted chocolate. What you can do is you can either drizzle all over it and then break it into pieces and serve it. So, or you can dip those pieces and yeah, it works either ways. So I'm just going to drizzle. Yes. Now, this is complete. So you can add the ginger flakes on top if you like, or just leave it as it is. And you can just allow it to set for some time. Leave it aside, and we'll work with the next recipe. So I'm just going to quickly raise my hand, and we'll go ahead with the last recipe. So, oops, we're already beyond time. I hope y'all are okay to continue for the next, I think, 45 minutes. We should be finishing by 3 p.m. And I hope y'all can stick around. Yeah? I'm just going to give a quick rinse to my hands, and I'll be back right away. You need it? No. All right, coming to the last recipe. This is the dried apricot. It's the Turkish apricot, not the dried. It's a semi-dried apricot coconut roll. And this is also a great recipe for especially those who are health conscious and they're having some gluten issues. You can definitely offer this recipe because it does not have any kind of maida in it. And as you already know from the PDF, I have mentioned the ingredients. It's all gluten free. So let's get started. Okay. So we're gonna make the. I'm gonna need a mixer, but okay, in the meantime, I'll just get Roshni to prepare the mixer. We'll just season the dry ingredients first. Meanwhile, Roshni will just get the mixer kind of ready. So taking in almond flour. Okay, this is the blanched almond flour. So this will be adding. Which one is the cornstarch and which one is an arrowroot? Okay, so they both look the same. So one of them is the cornstarch and the other is the arrowroot powder. Right? So the cornstarch gives you a little light and airy texture. The arrowroot powder is the binding. Of course, the cornstarch does bind, but I prefer the light texture of the arrowroot and the corn flour mixed together. So they give a good combination to bind it with. This will be adding that's the oat flour. And we'll also add the jawar flour. With this, I think there is 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So that's 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And a pinch of salt. Oops, I think Roshni has missed it. I'm gonna need a pinch of salt. That's okay, the salt did not seep the last time, so I'm going to add it into the flour mixture later on, which is absolutely fine. Okay, so once we've got all the dry ingredients, now just see, making sure, because. All right, so all we have to do is mix in. All right, so that's the salt. Just going to add it. Then we need to add the ghee. So, okay, I'd just like to mention while we're waiting, the jawar flour and the oat flour, if you feel that there are too many dry ingredients to be added, a lot of mixture, you can very well skip the oat flour and add the jawar flour. But I prefer the oat flour because what happens is the jawar flour does not help in binding as much. Jawar, the oat flour has a little stickiness to it, and which is what helps in the binding, right? So you can do that, or even use that or add the arrowroot powder, right? That you can increase to half a tablespoon more if you're adding only the jowar flour. Tablespoon. That's ghee will be 1.5 tablespoon. So that's half a tablespoon what I have here. And so that's 1.5. Okay. I'm going to wear my gloves again because I do not want to have to go and wash my hands. I can just mix it in and then gloves. Now, when you're mixing this in, all you need to do is bring it to a crumb like texture, which is almost like a sand like texture. And the ghee, what I've used, it's not meant to be heated. You need to keep it at room temperature and just rub it in well enough. Make sure it is almost like a sand like texture. That's it. Because you want all the ghee to be spread evenly into the flour. And only then you will go ahead and add the next ingredient, which is the date syrup. Now the date syrup, why not jaggery or sugar? Sugar, of course, we're avoiding. But if you're asking me the jaggery powder will not work because we're looking for something to bind it, and we're not adding any water in it. No milk, no water. So this, you can even call it. You can even see that it's a vegan recipe, so gluten free and vegan. All right, now the date syrup, what I have here is this one, what I'm using. The date syrup is been just 1 tablespoon. That's half a tablespoon. Oops. Get it all together, bind it well. Now, because we're not having any, we don't have any gluten here, no gluten flour. So you can definitely rub it in well. Make sure it combines well. Oh, yes. I knew I missed it. That's what I was wondering. It's supposed to be 2 tablespoons of icing sugar. I'm sorry, that was the icing sugar and not the tapioca starch. Sorry, corn flour. It was only the icing sugar and the arrowroot powder. My mistake. Mixing it up with the other recipe. Okay. So we'll just add in the rest of it. Just to get it to bind well into a dough. Now, in the meantime, I also want to show you what we're going to do is we are going to make the filling with the apricot and cashew and coconut. I'm not adding any coconut in the dough because we will be adding it in the filling. We don't want everything to be coconut. Now I've added half a tablespoon of date syrup again. And I'm seeing the consistency is still not the way I would like it to be. So I'm gonna add another half a tablespoon. So that's total of 2 tablespoons. Okay, this is looking good now. Now that I can bind it well and form it into a nice dough to be able to roll it out, this is good. So 2 tablespoons dough, date syrup is what I'm looking at. You see that everything is coming together on its own, not having to work too much with it. So this is the consistency that we're looking for. Okay. Now we can just roll this out. In the meantime, we can have Roshni just do the filling part, which I will tell you. What we're gonna do is, so we're gonna take let me do that. And in this, we're going to take the cashews, the coconut. So I'll just have Roshni do it for us while we work on the dough. That way we can speed up the process. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take, for making the filling, we're going to take, pulse the cashews a little bit. So the cashews are raw, they're not been roasted, but I would prefer that you roast it and that way the shelf life will be longer, right? So this time I'm using the raw, so this can go in. And along with that, we'll be adding the apricot, right? So the apricot is the Turkish apricot. It's a little soft, not so dry. I'll just show it to you. I'll show you the packet once we just get this going. And then to this, we'll be adding 25 grams of vegetarian coconut. So the coconut we'll have to add in a little later because first we need to pulse the cashew and the apricot, and then we will add the coconut. So I have to screenshot it out. Paste. Paste. That's good. It's 25 grams. All right, so this will go into the mixer grinder. So while they're working with the filling, we'll quickly work with the dough and get it going. So I will need my You don't really need a rolling pin. You can easily work with it with your hands. And this will be about 7 inches by 3 inches.
Add the coconut. We'll add the coconut.
So now when you're rolling this out, of course, if you're using a rolling pin, will be better. You get a good even thickness all around. Make sure you get that because otherwise your baking will be uneven. So I'm assuming this is 7 inches by 3 inches. It's just something I kind of gauge and do it now because I've done it so many times for my clients. And it's just something I kind of know it. All right. So we'll just wait for Raksha to bring in our filling. And I'll just show you the thickness of this. You can see the thickness. Right. Now working with our dough for the filling, sorry. So this is what we have after it has been grounded for a few seconds, not too much, right? Because the coconut has been added later. Reason being, the coconut will also release its oil. So you do not want to pulse it too much, or else it will get very greasy, and then you will have a very greasy taste in your filling. So we don't want that. So that's that. And because it's a sticky dough-like texture, you can easily roll it into a log. And make it the length of your dough. So we place it on one end of it. Once you have that placed, you will simply take the butter paper. Don't try to lift the dough because it is gluten free. It does not have any gluten, so you will probably crack it if you try to lift the dough. So simply lift the butter paper and roll it over along with the filling and keep it tight. You can see this. I'm pressing it onto the dough on the inside, the filling dough. Right. So that's done. And that's the filling inside. Throw it in. Now all you need to do is slice it and coat it with the coconut and goes in the oven. So I need some coconut in here. So give it an even size. So if you want to slice it from the center, you will know exactly how many pieces you will get. Ideally, you will get 8 pieces. So that's halfway. And then if I cut in here, you're gonna get the even size of 4 from this. And 4 from here. Make sure to wipe your knife because the sticky part may cause it to give not a very clean cut, so make sure to wipe it. And also at the same time, if you want, you can refrigerate for some time, which would be great because it helps to ease out the cutting. You'll need the tray to transfer it on. So remember to preheat your oven. We'll need the other tray, the baking tray. The baking tray, the aluminum or the cookie sheet. So here's how it will look with the coconut on top, the center filling. What I'm doing is I'm simply rolling it upside down into the coconut, and that's how we just working it. So this recipe also lasts a good 6 to 7 days at room temperature. It won't go bad. As long as it is baked well enough, it will stay. And also in the refrigerator, if you're going to put it in, it will easily last for up to 2 weeks, 10 to 15 days, easy. So that's our apricot coconut rolls. Let me just show them to you quickly. Right. Okay. You can see that. Yeah, good. Okay. All right. So Rosh, you can go ahead and transfer it onto the tray and get it baking. Just go into the preheated oven and just going to quickly rinse my hands, and we will now come to the question answer where I can answer all your queries. And definitely I'm going to show you the whole results of all the baked items. And only the apricot, which is just gone in the oven, I will show it to you once it's done. But I do have a batch ready from this morning. So I'll show you everything, the whole packaging, the hamper, the pricing, and everything, right? So just give me a minute and watch my answer. Okay, so we're back with all the goodies ready, and I'm just going to quickly show you the pistachio delight. It's looking amazing. All the topping. Yeah. And the brownie has turned out really beautiful. You see that swirl of the beetroot? Yeah. Then the brownie has also been done in a bake and serve individual. This was separately done earlier, right? Then we have our cashew clusters with the cornflakes. Cheese sticks. It needs a little bit of a sprinkle of cheese powder, I'd say. If Roshni can add it, maybe that will taste amazing. And then our cookies. The nankatai. Custard nankatai. And the apricot is still happening. So if Roshni can give me the apricot from the morning batch, and we can show you. Now this is also a way of how you can do the cashew clusters, individual clusters, and coat with the chocolate. So they look amazing, and it gives a perfect bite for every. For every serving, you can just give one portion and it's just enough. It's great. It's a wonderful crunch and taste. And I'm just gonna slice into the pistachio and I'll show it to you. Yeah. So you can see this. Then I'm also going to slice into the brownie. Now the brownies are super soft. They need to be refrigerated, so ideally, it would be best if you can. If not, just wait until it's cooled down and then slice it through it. Good percent. Battery. Here you go. The brownies are amazing. They're soft and super gooey. So also I'll show you the cheese sticks. The cheese sticks are they're done. You can see the coloring on the bottom as well. And I'm going to give a snap. Let's see. Oh. It's baked. Well, you can still bake it further if you want that extra crisp. Right? So that's done. And also the macanas. I think we missed out on that one. Where is it? And the apricot. This is the one. Ah, okay. Well, Roshni has already packed it because we want to see the freshness. So this can come out on a. Yeah, so that's our macana, which is ready to serve and goes in a jar like this. And here we have our apricot, which has been baked from the batch in the morning. And this should be. There you go. So that's our entire set of, oh, let me just show you how cookies have turned out on the inside. That's light and airy texture. Perfectly great. So that's our cookies, the nankatai I call them, of course. And let me just slice into one of the apricot pieces for you all to have a look at. Second. So here. Right. So this is all of it, and yeah, the crunch in the cashew clusters, it's still a little warm, so I don't want to touch that right now. Because the sugar takes longer to cool down, as I said. If it takes longer to heat up, it takes longer to cool down as well. So here we have a cashew cluster. Some ginger. I don't know if you can hear it. It's just too soft to hear, I think. But yeah, so we're good. So if there's anything you want me to show other than what I have already, then we're good. So now coming to the point where how you can pack these. So this is something we have done earlier is you can have a tray like this ready for your clients as a sample. Keep one sample ready for your clients because they are definitely going to ask you the pricing and they are also going to ask you if you can make it according to their requirement. So if you want, if they want something that's with a full hamper, this will cost you 2,800 for the client. Now we're talking about packaging. This can be netted on top with some flowers on top, and all the items have been placed on everything, all the 7 items: the brownie, the apricot, cashew, cluster, the cheese sticks, nankatai, the moringa mukana, and the pistachio delight. Okay, so you can have it all. Or another option is that you can make a smaller handful where you can include. Then maybe you need to put the shreds, of course. So just put maybe the moringa and so no, I think you can reduce the costing if you want that person to have a costing of only so much. Then you can definitely have the cookies. This and here. And an individual brownie. Right, so this can cost about 12 to 15 minutes. I'm sorry, not 12 to 15 minutes. It's 12 to 1500. So yeah. So that's the pricing based on your products, how much you're going to place in there. Right. So it should be 15 to 17 if I'm counting the apricot one, because that's quite an expensive affair because it's gluten free and vegan. You can definitely price it. And yeah, so we will be giving all the pricing in the WhatsApp group. Similarly, you can also use packaging like this, which can include everything. And if you want it to be travel friendly, then definitely ensure you don't put the brownie. It's going to go intercity. Definitely, we don't want to put the brownie in it. And then there are other options of how you can give them an option of giving only 2 items in here. So you can have a tiny tub of maybe just the apricot cluster and the, sorry, apricot roll and the cashew cluster. So these 2 can also go just the sweet, right? Or another option is that you can probably remove this and you can put in a jar. Oh, it's not going to fit. So I think we will stick to the brownie. And so if you're going to use the cheese sticks and transfer them into a tub like this, and this can also go into one of your hampers. So this can be quite attractive. And if anybody wants small packaging and also the cost effective, they don't want it very expensive. So this is something that you can do. All right. And then don't forget this kind of absorber. You need to put it in the travel friendly and even the makhanas. They need to last long. With the cheese sticks also, you can add them. A single pouch in each, and that's a good absorber. Now, other than that, I think we're good with all the packaging and styling. If there are any questions, I can just take. Hi everyone, I'm sorry about this. The meeting ended and it's it's a little bit of a technical issue now. We cannot restart the meeting, of course, and I would want you all to get back to your day. And I just want to quickly say a big thank you for joining me today, being a Sunday. I really appreciate each one of you all joining me here, and I hope you all enjoyed. And if you did, please let me know. And Roshni and I will be really happy, including Aarti. She's been here helping us. So it's a team of 3, and we've really tried our best to get things flowing easily, but sorry for all the technical issues. Feedback on today's session, and Roshni, Aarti and myself would love that, and I really appreciate you all joining me here again. And yes, we will be sharing you the pictures of all these products, plus also, yeah, as I was telling you that we have offered our products to big clients like Priyanka Chopra's mom, and also other clients like Sharman Joshi's wife has placed an order earlier from us, and also other clients which I can't really recollect right now, but yes, it's all there. So trust me, have the confidence in baking these goodies, and you will go far really well with this. It's just give it a try and let me know. It'll be a hit in your list of products to sell. So all the best everyone, and God bless. Thank you for joining us once again. Bye. See you.